Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And wow, what an exciting 24 hours we've had on this channel. Believe me, we are fighting fit. We're like the boxing kangaroo. Bring it on, bring it on. Anyway, let me get back to the issue of this video. It's about South Africa's economy. The worst recession in 90 years is expected in South Africa. Now, let's remember just a couple of weeks ago, Ramaphosa was singing from the rooftops that this lockdown was the greatest thing that had happened for South Africa because it was going to forward black economic transformation. Read into that the destruction of hundreds of thousands of small white businesses, and once they're destroyed there's going to be a huge hole in the gap, and then black economic empowerment businesses will get funding to fill that gap. That's what he's talking about. This is the rainbow nation in South Africa today. It's a complete con. Let me tell you some more. South Africa's economy is now expected to contract by 7.2% in 2020, its largest shrinkage in nearly 90 years, dragged down by the ravages of the COVID-19 global pandemic, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni said on Wednesday. Now, what is actually happening is it's being dragged down by the ANC gangster state because they want this to happen. But let's face it, post-COVID-19, they can't blame Jan van Riebeck or apartheid because now they're blaming the coronavirus. So it's put a bit of a gap between the two. But, you know, this is how corrupt this government is. Presenting a supplementary budget to Parliament via video conferencing because the pandemic had necessitated physical distancing, Mboweni placed infrastructure development at the center of revival economic growth. He said commodity price increases and a weaker oil price had softened the blow, but that as a small open economy reliant on exports, South Africa had been hit hard by both the collapse in global demand and the restrictions to economic activity brought on by the health crisis. A supplementary budget review, also published by the National Treasury on Wednesday, said millions of jobs were at risk and millions of households were experiencing increased hardship. The pandemic has had a profound impact on South Africa, the National Treasury said. All economic sectors have experienced a sharp downturn, and small businesses in particular face extreme pressure. Tax revenue projections are down sharply. In its main budget review in February, the Treasury had predicted economic growth of 0.9% in 2020 for Africa's most industrialized economy, compared with a modest 0.2% last year. On Wednesday, the department said the epidemiological path and economic consequences of the coronavirus pandemic were both highly uncertain and evolving rapidly, necessitating rapid adjustments in policy and forecasts. Now, what is actually happening right now is that the coronavirus is just out of control. It's just thousands of cases every day, new cases every day, and these are on restricted numbers of testing. It's all over the place. It's right through South Africa. The herd will soon have immunity because it's just going crazy in South Africa. But the reason they're keeping this lockdown in place is because they're trying to shut down the white economy. That's what this is all about, nothing else. Anyway, let's continue. It said over the past 3 months the government had prioritized public health to save lives and had taken the difficult step of severely restricting economic activity at a time when gross domestic product, or GDP, growth was already weak. South Africa's 500 billion rand fiscal relief package is designed to help households and to weather the short-term effects of the crisis. This is according to the Treasury. The Treasury noted that it had for several years been warning that an absence of fiscal space would leave South Africa vulnerable to external shocks, which is right now happening. It went on to say, the risk is now a reality. At the time of the February 2020 budget, economic growth was already low and the fiscal position had deteriorated significantly. South Africa had begun heading into a debt spiral. Now remember, this is before Moody's moved the rand to junk. So you can see where this is going. In his budget speech, Finance Minister Mboweni proposed 21.5 billion rand for COVID-19 related healthcare spending in a supplementary budget tabled in reaction to the pandemic, and a further allocation of 12.6 billion rand to services at the front line of South Africa's response to the health crisis. Allocations have been informed by epidemiological modelling, a national health sector COVID-19 cost model, and our experiences over the past 100 days, he said. This money partly supports increased screening and testing, allowing us to open up more and more of our economy. He said the country had successfully increased its COVID-19 bed capacity to above 27,000, identified 400 quarantine sites with a capacity of around 36,000 beds across the country, and deployed nearly 50,000 community healthcare workers to screen millions of South Africans. Over 1.3 million people have been tested to date, he added. That's about 2% of the population. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Imagine how many more cases of COVID-19 are out there. Anyway, let's continue. The country's 9 provinces would add at least 5 billion rand for an education catch-up plan, social welfare support for communities, and the provision of quarantine sites by public works departments and responses in other sectors. Wherever there's money to be spent, guess who's going to be having their hands in the till? Yeah, these little shelf companies, believe me. The finance minister said the government remained deeply concerned about the path of the virus. He said, but in common with other countries that adopted a stringent early lockdown, we have flattened the curve and saved lives. What? Let me repeat that. This is the finance minister. He said, but in common with several other countries that adopted a stringent early lockdown, we have flattened the curve and saved lives. The curve in South Africa is parabolic. This guy's delusional. Anyway, he went on to say the storm is not over, but if we follow the health guidelines and make the right decisions to prepare for a new global reality, then soon enough the days will grow calmer. Mboweni said building a bridge to a future beyond the current lockdown imposed to curb transactions of COVID-19 would require building high-quality physical bridges, roads, railways, ports, and other infrastructure. The finance minister said, infrastructure will be the flywheel by which we grow the economy, and all those little BEE companies will be hanging on like parasites, believe me. In conclusion, he said, just as we have toiled together to manage the pandemic, let us harness this same unity of purpose and build the infrastructure our nation needs. Our efforts to reduce consumption expenditure will also change the composition of spending in the direction of investment. Well, investment, believe me, is flying out of South Africa. That's not surprising. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe.